Hello everyone. Hi. Happy Saturday. For my stream, it's the second time that I'm live today. For everyone else, hello. My name is Jessie February, Women International Master from South Africa. I have been live on Chess Dojo before, but this is the first time that it's a full-on takeover. So watch out. Dojo, the new sensei is in town. Not really. I'm gonna get cancelled and never be asked to come back here. But today we are going to take a look at round 5 of the Reykjavík Open that Kostya is playing in at the moment. And so far I believe it's going quite well. He has 3 points out of 4, and his only loss against Grandmaster from China, a 2600. So far so good. Things are looking up. And this is his second game against the Grandmaster, who is Dennis Kadrick. Looks very familiar. I think he's from, is it Montenegro? He is from Montenegro, yes. And I'm not sure if they've faced each other before, but this is, I feel like it's going to be quite an interesting game, and what an honor it is to be here as well. So hello everybody in chat. I will be checking out the chat. I have like the restream chat on, so I'm looking at things from, the chat messages from YouTube, from Twitch, Chess Dojo, and my own Twitch channel. So this is going to be very cool, because I'm also going to be answering questions if you have any. So hopefully if you have questions, please do put them in chat. I'll try to catch up as much as possible with the chat messages. Though, I think it's letting me down already. It's not updating. Freaking out noises. All right, I just had to reload it. I'll go back to the website, rather. Now, there's no way to like pop out the chat, unfortunately. But hello! Lovely to see so many familiar faces. Yeah, it's 3 out of 4. You want to become a streamer and you need tips. Wow, that's a big one. I do speak about that on my stream sometimes, yes. What's my favorite month? We've gone over this. We have indeed. I'm just hoping that the board is synced with the camera. I could possibly, since I think the camera's a little bit in front, I might be able to pause it at any point. So once we see what move Dennis makes, then we'll probably pause it at that point until we see it on the board. Because at the moment, I think it's, or unless it's Kostya's move. Let me just double check. I think it is Kostya's move. It is indeed. So maybe it is up to date. Yeah. But we do see an opening that I think and believe I'm rather well versed in. And that is the gioco piano in the Italian. So e4, e5, which is quite standard. Something you learn, one of the first things you learn in a chess opening is to put your pawns in the center and develop your pieces. Bishop c4, bishop c5. And this is actually something I do here, is play a move like c3. And even if black goes ahead and plays knight to f6, attacking the pawn, I like this move, d4. It can lead to a lot of thrilling lines. Of course, it's important to know your theory. After bishop to d2, there are ideas of taking on e4, or perhaps even bishop d2, knight d2, and d5 here. Of course, the only move to still maintain some pressure in the center takes in queen b3. So this line can continue, of course, but over here is a very standard approach, a very solid approach at that. Dennis clearly doesn't like the whole dynamics of those lines that can indeed lead to draws if black knows what they're doing. And after d6, d3, knight f6, very standard, c3, a6, and bishop to b3. I love this prophylactic move. Tucking the bishop away, it's often seen in lines in the Sicilian as well, where the bishop, even though it is tucked away on a7 looking quite weak, it has an amazing range and pressure along this diagonal, the a7 g1 diagonal, putting pressure on f2, and of course x-ray vision on the king. So white cannot so easily plan to play f4. It would probably mean white also has to prepare it with king to h1 first. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this line after knight b to d2, perhaps just castling here. And Kostya is most probably considering castling. But it's simple, straightforward. My guess as well is that I'm going to have trouble predicting the moves in the middle game just because of how many ideas there could be, especially plans of playing knight to e7 to g6 and then going with c6 d5, or perhaps even b5 and c5, which we usually see in openings like the Rilo pairs. I feel like the Gioco Piano and Rilo pairs are quite closely linked. What do you guys think in chat? Let me know. The one mistake I did make in preparing for the commentary is not taking a proper look at Kostya's games in the tournament so far. I know, blasphemy, but what to do? Yeah, you guys can let me know. Hi everyone, hi Vlad, good to see you. Can you challenge me to a chess game? Well, not at the moment, because we are commentating on a much more important game, and more important than any game that we could ever play, and that is a Reykjavík Open game happening right now between two very, very strong chess players. You've never watched chess commentary before? Well, there's a first time for everything, and now Kostya is actually taking some time to think about this position. I'm going to try and avoid pausing the video at any point. So now I have the live board that I'm looking at and the one that I've paused as well. Opponent gets back. I'll be narrating every single move they make. And castling does happen. I hope that we have it all synced up now, because I didn't actually check when castling appeared on the board as opposed to Kostya actually making that move. Okay, I'm counting. That's like 5 seconds. That's like 10 seconds. That's like 15 seconds. That's a lot of seconds. Yeah, I'm going to pause the video until we see something like h6 on the board. Yeah, I hope that's okay, chat. We won't be missing too much, I hope. Yeah. Professional streamer. Oh, we do have it. We do have it. And Rookie 1. Rookie 1 was played quite fast, actually. There's deliberate delays on some boards. We have special access to live boards. Oh gosh. Hello, why don't you play in Reykjavík now? Of course, it's a very interesting tournament. However, it's a little bit far for me to travel to, especially round about this time of the year. And I say that because I'm still quite very much needed at home, and I'll be competing in 2 weeks in a local event anyway. And like I said, quite a distance away and expensive to travel to, so I'd have to budget. Do I know Kostya? I've met him once in person. We've also collaborated quite a number of times. I think our first collaboration back in 2020 or 2021, when we were both part of a online coaching platform called Chess, and we did some like chess talks and some other promotional streams for Chess together, and then met him and Zach, who's also playing in the tournament, by the way. Met both of them in Portugal last year during the Maya tournament. That was a ton of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. Yes. And now the videos behind. Oh dear. I promise I'm good at this. I'm going to try and go a little bit forward then. And hopefully that does the trick. You can let me know. And we can get back to the position before I catch up in chat once more. The last few moves that were made, as predicted, there was castling, just completing the development, which is quite a simple approach. And now white was probably just posing some questions to black, saying, where do you want to bring this bishop? Do you want to bring it to e6, to g4? Well, it could be quite annoying on g4, so the prophylactic h3 makes a lot of sense, also creating a lift for the king, which can be used a little later on to prevent any back rank threats. h6 doing exactly the same thing, because the assumption here is that rook e1, knight f1, knight g3, and not allowing that bishop to come out. So just spending an extra move on prophylaxis right now does go a long way later on. So rook e1, rook e8, and knight f1. Now my thought is whether bishop e6 is going to happen. And it did. It did indeed. And why rook e8 before bishop e6? Probably because black doesn't want to recapture with the pawn, but rather recapture with the rook and keep the pawn structure as solid as possible. As long as the pawn structure is symmetrical and material is equal, it keeps the game balanced. And I think that's what's going through Kostya's mind right now. He's like, I have to play the 3 S's, simple, solid, satisfying chess, and that's what he's going for. Of course, it's also possible to play the imbalance, towards that. So something like bishop e6 after captures, it's still equal. And playing with this position, you get an open file for the rook, semi-open file, because your bishop and your rook could be working together later on towards the f2 square. And in addition to that, you get an extra pawn to help advance in the center and eventually try to take control of this d5 and eventually e4 square. So this is a plan, though it's also very understandable why you'd want to just keep things more simple. Yeah. But it'll cost, yeah. Well, that's a horrible joke. Could you ask them to move around a bit more? So you want them to dance around and stuff, is that it? Also, unfortunately, I can't be like checking the live footage as opposed to the moves. So if it doesn't look in sync, I'll try my best to do things. Guessing this slow Italian with a6 in it'll cost you is wild. That's a very good one. Nice pun on Kostya's name. Oh gosh. Ginger GM is streaming as well. I saw him on one of the streamers boards, but I didn't know there was an actual broadcast of his game. You like the structure with the double pawns? I find it a bit daunting because white can in fact play around it. White is not forced to play something like d4, even though they have c3 on the board. And it reminds me a lot of one of the games I played back in 2017, where I used this idea for the first time. You capitalize on the fact that black has an imbalance in their pawn structure, and you try to use that to advantage. putting pressure on the backward pawns such as e6 with moves like queen to b3, and tried positioning the knight in a way that it also attacks the pawn. So it can become a little bit difficult for black to manage if black is not careful, but why cause that extra stress in a position where you could just play rook e8, bishop e6, which is probably all the same. But I do like your idea of playing for that imbalance. What about plan knight f3, h5, f4? Knight f3, h5, f4. You mean knight f6, knight h5, knight f4? That's possible. Right now, not so much, just because a move like knight h5 just blunders the pawn, right? Because knight takes e5 and the queen is threatening. I'm wondering why it went in black's favor here. Maybe there's something I'm missing? There's a good chance I'm missing something. Because bishop takes f7 probably. Or even queen h4, threatening to take the pawn. But this is bad because of d4, giving up central control, and d5 is coming next. Makes a lot of sense. So bishop c2, very, very common idea, and move in the gioco piano, including the Reilly pairs. So we can go back a couple moves. So after bishop e6, white was like, I really want to keep my light squared bishop. It's one of my strongest bishops. It's going to be very, very important for me, on the c2, or rather the b1 h7 diagonal later on. So let me try to keep it. Bishop a4 is not something I would have considered. And trying to reason with it is probably white attempting to get into a very familiar structure here, provoking b5. Why was white provoking b5? Because now black just gained some space with a tempo, and it's probably because he's quite familiar with the Reilly pairs structures, and in the Reilly pairs you'll almost always see a 6b5 being played. Now I'm half expecting the knight to go over to a square like a5 or knight e7 for c5. Or even a later d5. Okay, right now it's not possible. But you definitely want to try and stop white from playing d4. So knight e7, and what I think Kostya is taking a look at now is what happens if d4 immediately after knight e7. Sorry. So maybe even knight a5. Oh, d5 is possible. Is this because it's like you're not actually sacrificing anything? Oh, that's a big lol. Okay. I had to calculate. My calculation needs some work. Oh, there was a raid. Hello, everyone. Hi. Thank you so much for the raid, by the way. Hope you had a fantastic stream. And yeah, I love your profile photo on Twitch. It's just so adorable. Welcome, readers. I saw it. I have not checked lately, Jesse. Are you still grinding for WGM? Yes. Some personal things in between. Okay, d5 is on the board, by the way. In between, for the past 5 months, I haven't been able to compete, and it'll be 6 months really, really soon. But I'm playing in 2 weeks, and 2 tournaments next month are like my tentative dates. So yeah, I'm hoping to play more in the upcoming months. At least I haven't taken a huge break from chess itself. Lots of streaming, commentating, and trying to work on my own chess as well. So even if I am out of practice, I still know how the little guys move. Have you been chessing all day? Yeah, I streamed from 10:30 a.m. for like 2 hours. Then I ran some errands, came back. I was doing a little bit of work, and yeah, here we are. Knight g3. I love these structures. I really, really do. Coming back a bit. So bishop c2, d5. And here it's not important at all to take with a bishop, because what I was thinking is knight takes e5 was a huge problem this entire time. But apparently not. Because if knight takes e5, black can legally ask white to resign. For reasons I'm about to tell you. Knight takes e5, rook takes e5, bishop takes f2. I was looking at this tactic this entire time, and now the queen is attacking the rook and the king. What a beautiful double attack. So knight takes d5, and it's amazing how you can make certain moves with a tactical motive that protects your pieces. So pieces don't have to always protect pieces. Tactics can protect your pieces too. Never heard that being said out loud, but it makes so much sense when you say it. Yeah, you like the position for black. I also like the position for black. I might actually consider starting to play e5 against e4, which is big of me because my entire life I've been playing openings like the French, sometimes the Sicilian, but never quite e5. Yeah. That's a great phrase, right? We should coin it. Someone should quote it and put it on a t-shirt or tattoo it. Signed, ancient Chinese proverb, Jessie February. Hello, new members in chat. Hi. Hope you're doing fantastically. I know I'm not one of the Chess Dojo senseis. I'm not the other Jessie. I'm not David. I'm not Kostya. But we are looking at their games, and I think that's almost as good enough. Their games. Yes, looking at Kostya's game. Yeah, let me just try to make sure that the board is in fact synced. Okay. Jesse's quest is to become the US senior champion. In the 2024 tournament, he finished with 6 out of 9 in second place. That's so close. I mean, yes, it was very close. I can't believe I didn't become the US senior champion. I hope this year I'll be able to. Though, sometimes I have to channel my inner Jessie Kraai. Yes. Who am I? What a great question. My name is Jessie February, not Jessie Kraai. I'm not a grandmaster, but I am a woman international master. I'm from South Africa, and we're here commentating on a really cool game. It's a nice surprise, Pizza. Thank you so much for being here. Who do you think will win? I think Kostya is nicely warmed up. What always helps as a chess player when it comes to playing a tournament, and I'm not sure if anybody else has this kind of approach either, is I usually put so much pressure on myself to perform well in a tournament. But if I know in my mind that I have some upcoming tournaments right after it, I don't put as much pressure on myself because I'll know I'll have a chance to redeem maybe some bad games that I've played and so on. So what I try to do is keep that frame of mind constantly, whether I do have an upcoming tournament after this one or not. So I know that he has a whole long list of tournaments to go after this. So to put not as much pressure on yourself and see it as a practice round is a great way to think about it. Unless, of course, you're worried about every single rating point, which isn't a good idea because, you feel that maybe you're a little bit narrow-minded in that sense. Everybody's somebody. That's deep. Very, very deep indeed. It looks like Dennis is walking around a lot. And I think that has to do with the double espresso he has to his left. Perhaps we should ask him after the game, what prompted your continuous struts around the playing venue? And he will answer with a simple, well, I had my coffee and then didn't know what to do with all my excess energy, so decided to walk around. Right, knight g3, right after knight takes d5. I thought we had missed a move or two. And it makes sense here why Kostya is thinking Let me just see what the lag is at the moment. I don't think it's all that much. I've just paused it quick. And we can hear the hall noises, in fact. I've just put it on very, very soft. Oh, the board updated. No. Okay. That was a quick knight h4. He spent like 5 seconds on that move. That should be more in sync right now. Justin Timberlake would be proud. So queen d6. And luckily on chess.com we actually have the move times loaded, locked and loaded. That was a 5.5 minute think. And knight h4 was played almost instantaneously, which concerns me a little bit. What is he planning? He's probably planning here to play knight to f5 and what he's been thinking about until now. Because if queen d7, perhaps it then was possible for knight takes e5. I'll just show you for a second here. So in the case of a square like queen d7, stopping this idea of knight h4, knight f5, then knight takes e5, and there isn't any queen f6 threats after bishop takes f2. And also, the queen at the moment is stopping the knight from going to h4. So after this natural looking move, queen d6, maybe he's just super familiar with the structure, wanted to ensure that Kostya went into another 5 minute think. And this time difference, as we've seen in the Women's World Championship games, time is everything. Unless you're great at blitz. Ten out of 10. Who are the other people in NSYNC? I have no idea. I only know Justin Timberlake, to be honest. I have to Google it. Maybe you can let me know. But I've got my coffee too. So if I end up walking around my room too much or doing some dances, I do apologize. The coffee doesn't quite have that effect on me. It's very cool to be able to see all the other games that are being streamed. I know Anna Crumling is playing Simon Williams. I don't know the next two. Zach is playing, and Zach is playing against a fellow Canadian, playing against Omid Khaledi. Yeah, only 6 boards on what I'm assuming is like the side where the streamers are sitting. I miss the time where the Botas sisters were also playing in Reykjavík. Natural next moves? I do like that question very much. So for black, I think, again, I'm trying not to look at the engine at all. So I'll first try to give my honest opinion, and then we can discuss what the engine suggests. That is a really, really good question. My initial thought was trying to make moves like knight to f4 work, just because you do want to start putting pressure on this weak pawn here, d3. When a pawn can only be defended by other pieces, then it is a really good idea to start piling the pressure on those pieces. Maybe even rook to d8 at some stage would be good to start looking at this pawn and the queen. And queen e7 is on the board. Why I think queen e7 works here is because the pawn is no longer under attack by the knight. And after knight to f5, maybe queen to f6, so we can make these moves perhaps. Queen to f6, and this knight is actually forced to retreat. Queen f3. Didn't look at queen f3. Yeah, I don't see the sense in king h8, so... Plan is knight h6, so maybe king h8 is forced. Okay. I'm curious. Very curious. What are your thoughts, chat? Too many boy bands. What about One Direction? Jessie doesn't look at the engine because she's stronger. Thank you for believing that. Hi again. 97 maybe. We can take a look at 97. Alright, so 97 was a suggestion by Kostya. If we bring this knight through, then... I'm not sure, because queen e2 does seem like a very, very strong move. Engine doesn't like my suggestions. Ooh, queen h5. Wow. Okay, doing exactly the same thing. Because there are too many pieces between the rook and the pawn to protect it. So I was a little bit worried about how you would protect the pawn. Queen e7 still on the board. And now it's Dennis who is thinking for the first time this game. He has been speeding through his opening moves so far. I'm starting to like queen e7 more and more. What he has to consider is exactly what we were looking at with knight h2 to f5, attacking the queen, queen f6, queen f3. And okay, king h8 is just a marvel of a move, having to think that one through. I would worry a little bit about both knights and bishops looking at the king at the moment. But black has enough pieces to defend, and not even defend, but potentially even counterattack if white makes a bad decision or overextends. Does white's position look easier to play? I think if white can pull off d4, then yes, but at the moment that's not quite possible. The bishop on c2 is rather inactive. Maybe it would be a good idea for white to even think about sacrificing that pawn a little bit later on. But I felt like knight h4 was a very straightforward and ambitious approach because it poses a lot of questions to the piece placement of black. And if Kostya can find a good way to just coordinate his pieces well enough, I think the knight on h4 would end up looking a bit silly. So I'm trying to look for ways in which white can respond. And one of them, again, is playing a move like queen to h5. Because after I saw the engine queen h5 attacking e5, I was like, why not even now? Because there aren't any immediate ways for black to attack the queen other than something like knight f6, which blocks the queen's attack on the knight. So if knight f6 here, then probably just queen f3, yeah. And now a knight on c6 is in danger. I don't want to play bishop d5. See, piece coordination is just so important. And you can spend these moves with the minor pieces attacking the queen, thinking, oh, you're gaining tempo after tempo. But once the dust clears, what are your pieces doing? You know, what is the knight doing on f6? What is the bishop doing on f5, on d5? Yeah. What's my favorite variation of the Sicilian defense, except dragon, of course? I like the Sicilian Khan, just because I really dislike playing against it with white pieces. I also like the line, I'm not entirely sure what it's called. I can show you real quick. Maybe chess.com can tell me. I've played this with black a couple of times before, just because this is the kind of preparation I had for the Women's World Championship match in 2018 that I played in Kanti Mansisk. Can you believe it? I played in a Women's World Championship match. It was a knockout, but I was there. Played against Katerina Lugno, and this is one of the lines that I had prepared. Of course, I didn't get it. After knight to c6, she played this bishop to b5 line. So bishop takes, and queen e7. I just want to see what that would even be called. Analysis. It won't tell me. Oh, now it tells me. I don't even think I could pronounce it. It's a Celine defense, open, Loventhal variation. Who knows that? I feel like no one in their right mind would know that. Other than people who are geniuses. There's a lot of people who play chess. D6 is recommended. But I quite like sidelines. I really like them. Because then it's no longer about who knows the most preparation or who knows the main line better. It's let's play chess. Let's see who's, who can calculate better and all the other good things that are actually important, not just memorization. You're a genius? Great. Oh man. Loventha. Yeah, and the O has like a, the umlaut. Well, actually, what is it called? The two dots. In Afrikaans, we call it something way different. The double teken, bodyletter, and koppelteken, which is like the hat on top of the letters. Used to remember stuff and calculate. Yeah, play sidelines or play something completely out of the book. Play b3 on the first move. And if you're the better player, you will still win. Because it's not like you're just completely ignoring concepts and stuff. You're just trying to sidestep theory. There's no harm in that. And in all honesty, I recommend it. And where did I learn it? Back in 2017, actually. That was the first time that I'd learned that. Where did I learn it? Well, it was the South African Championship. So the winner of the tournament would become South African champion. And I was in a boarding house along with some other chess players. I was playing in the women's section. And a lot of the other people staying in the house were chess players in that tournament. Okay, it's a couple seconds lag. I don't think it's too bad. Maybe I can actually catch up real quick. I can catch it up. Hopefully that helps. And one of the people who was staying there was both a player in the open section as well as a coach of one of the girls in my section. And it was a closed event. You have to get invited, 12 players, 11 round robin. So before we tackle this Queen H5 move, I'll finish my story. One afternoon or evening, we always sort of gathered around this really big dining table in the kitchen and spoke about all sorts of stuff regarding our games. And it was all of us. I think it was like 10 people staying in that boarding house. And he mentioned something to all of us. He was usually the storyteller because he's such a great coach and he's really good and theatrical when telling stories too. He said, these young guys, they remember so much. So when you know that you are better than someone or you are absolutely sure you're more experienced, just take them out of the opening, you know? They're young, they're relying on theory, more than they are on their experience and their knowledge of certain concepts and endgames and whatnot. Just play something they've never seen before, and you're almost always guaranteed to win. Because first of all, because they're relying on their prep, they feel confident. The moment you kick that pedestal from under them, they're going to lose their confidence. They might not even play as well as they can, and you're almost always guaranteed to have a better position out of the opening. And he didn't know I was playing his student in the next round. Much younger than me, sort of fresh blood, but really good at opening preparation. So I thought about it and I was like, let me try that. So I think she was a London system player, and I always play d4, d5, and she plays like bishop f4 or something like that. So she plays d4 on the first move. I played d6. She thought for like 20 minutes. And I knew I really threw her off her game and ended up winning that game. The idea, of course, is, I know nothing about it, to play like old Indian, knight d7, e5, or just, put my bishop on e7 and so on. So I don't even have to know what I'm doing in the opening, just develop and try to get a decent position out of the opening. But the point was that like psychological takeover. I was very impressed. He didn't know that he was helping me against his own student. So yeah, great to reminisce about that. And just be better than your opponent, noted. Oh gosh. Beating up little kids. Okay, these aren't the takeaways. It's supposed to be an inspiring story. Why is chat like this? Queen h5. Exactly what we were looking at. But I was definitely considering moves like knight f5. I can see why he chose to go queen h5 instead though, because first of all, it's a piece that wasn't really doing anything on d1. You always want your forces to be as close to the enemy king as possible. And here's just one of those moments where you throw your pieces at the king and hope something happens. Because there's no try. There's just do. No, that's not the saying. There, you miss 100% of the snacks you don't eat. Nope, I'll try again. If you don't try, you'll never see the light of day. I'll get there someday. I don't know where it is, but I'll find it. I'm full of quotes. Yoda. So much wisdom. I'm glad. Yeah, they call me the all-knowing. And by they, I mean me. And by me, I mean in the mirror in the morning when I hype myself up for the day. You have a 45 stream streak. Wow, that's incredible. Thank you for being here for 45 streams of me saying weird things all the time. If you don't try, you will never fail. I like that one. That one seems like it's very close to what I was going for. Your wisdom is chasing, but you are faster. I remember there was a man who was arguing with his wife. And he was trying to make really valid points, but she goes the distance of trying to make him feel and seem like he has no idea what he's talking about. He makes some valid points and then she's like, hey. Oh my gosh. Wisdom is chasing, but you are faster. That's really good. Yeah. Knowledge is knocking, but no one is home. Oh, I love it. These quotes just go. I'm sorry, we're supposed to be taking this very seriously, chat. I need to stop reading chat and focus. We are here for commentary. Be serious. Did my 50 stream streak get a mention? I'm sorry, I was reading restream chat, so I didn't get the notification of stream streaks, but congratulations and thank you for your 50 stream streak dedication to the Jessie Feb channel. Trying is the first step towards failure. Who said that? Homer? Homer Simpson. I remember the time Magnus Carlsen was on The Simpsons. Yeah. It's like when Stephen Hawking said, "Doesn't matter that I didn't win a Nobel Prize. I was on The Simpsons." 2 brain cells fighting for 3rd place. There's no smiling or laughing in chess. I understand. I will refrain. Thank you so much for the follows. All right, here we have a position. The time difference, I don't think it's too bad. I usually try to, when it comes to time in chess, I'm very pedantic. When I have less time than my opponent, I try not to walk around because I often feel like I have to give myself permission to walk around, and in order to do so, it just feels silly when I have less time than my opponent on the clock. Of course, if you need to go to the restroom or something, or grab a coffee because you're falling asleep, by all means, get up. But if not, you're stuck sitting there. And it also gives you some sort of psychological advantage sometimes, over your opponent if you have a bit more time on the clock. And there are some very serious considerations here, I believe. Because what is white threatening at the moment? I think white still wants to go ahead with this knight f5 idea. Very, very much so. A little bit concerned because of the pawn coming forward, h6 looking sensitive, g6 eventually, h7, all these squares around the king, and I can fully understand that. Another consideration would be a move like f6. I think one of the candidate moves that Kostya must be considering is knight to f6. It wasn't highlighting the square. Oh no. Queen f3, attacking c6, and perhaps bishop d5. I don't see another square for the knight, unfortunately. Not immediately, at least. Right. Would definitely be fun to have more lines available. Sorry, it looks messy. I just wanted to select more lines for us to take a look at. And it hasn't even loaded. It's okay. We'll cut it some slack. What do you think, chat? Candidate moves? What are our options? It just feels like our pieces are so locked out. I even wanted to play queen to f6 and try to get a move in like g5, but that really plays into the whole don't push pawns on the side that you feel like you're weaker. Yeah. Hello new people in chat. Hello. How are you? Oh, Gem06, that's a really, really nice thing to say. Thank you. I am trying to stay as engaging as possible here. If you do have questions in chat, please do ask. If it's about the position, if it's about the tournament, do avoid trying to make me laugh, because as we've established, this is serious business. Yeah. Three out of 4 says on the screen. It does indeed. Honestly, I didn't even realize that. And it doesn't say anything about Dennis at the moment. That's because it's Dennis's first time in this tournament playing against a streamer. And he's probably having some stage fright at the moment. He's like, camera, people are staring at me. JK, when you are a chess player who cares a lot about the game, you'll most often just go into your own little world of analyzing the position and forget almost everything around you. Unless you're like me, who gets distracted by literally any and all sounds. So if there are any earbud sponsors out there and companies, your girl needs some help. Dennis has 2 wins and 2 draws. Very solid results so far. Weather, cost of winter jacket in Reykjavík. I'm not entirely sure about the prices in Reykjavík. I'm also unsure about the currency in Reykjavík. Do they use pounds? It's a country that seems more... South Africa often feels like an island because we're so far away from everything and everyone. I only heard make me laugh. No. Do you have any trivia for this commentary stream like you do for the Women's World Championship? That's a really good question because I did a little bit of research, so I might actually be able to provide some commentary. I just have to fact check. Before I ask you. Right. So I think it's over here that I looked at it. Okay, no, that was 2017. I was trying to look for. Right. The Reykjavík Open 2024. Who won first prize? I think that is a relatively easy one to answer. Yes, thank you so much for the follows so far, chat, and welcome to the stream. If you're new here, hi. Yeah, so we'll start with that trivia question and we'll work our way upwards because that will be the first question and then we'll go, we'll see who can answer that one. He was also the sole victor. No one shared the same score as him. He got 7.5 out of 9. He was also the top seed of the tournament. Rook A to D8 was played! Oh my gosh. I'm going to try and figure out what the plan behind this move is, and it's probably just to either bring the rook towards the center, of course. Upon first glance, this seems like the most logical reason. Another one is probably a rook lift, and that is to defend the 6th rank. Because of how sensitive this pawn on h6 seems right now, that a sacrifice could be imminent later on. So knight to f5 might seem very logical here, with the idea of bishop takes probably. I'm not so sure. Bringing the bishop in first. So allowing the bishop this open diagonal, sacrificing the pawn. But in addition to that, if the pawn were to take, this pin on the queen seems quite difficult to deal with. I think Dennis has to find it first. It's a matter of whether he will or whether he won't. Whether the weather is hot, whether the weather is cold, whether the weather, whatever the weather. All right, knight f4 is my first thought. Anjan also likes the idea of knight to e4, but both of these lead to equality. At the moment, I think things are still pretty normal. No immediate threats for white, though it does look very, very scary. And I think that's another reason why Kostya was spending quite a bit of time in this position, was just trying to make sure that there aren't any surprises underneath his pillow, and whether the tooth fairy had come early or not. Luckily, I've moved on and I've graduated from the University of Wikipedia, and as well as earned my postgraduate degree from the University of Reddit. So now we've moved on to greener pastures and more accurate sources. Thank you. Exactly. Bogdan ended up winning last year's edition. He was also the top seed. And my next question is, who won the prize as the best female player? I see there were lots of category prizes as well. This player also played under the FIDE flag and scored a whopping 6.5 points in the tournament. Super impressive. Ooh, thank you for the 1-bit cheer. I appreciate it. Oh, it's your fellow countrymen, that's why you know. Very cool. Appreciate the follows this stream. Getting serious now, jackets off. Oh, I started rhyming about the weather and he took his jacket off. I thought he had his jacket off the entire time. Also, why are you watching the players undress? Close your eyes. Bro thinks he's at freestyle. Removes his jacket. Reminds me of Garry Kasparov playing, and he would take his watch off before the start of the game and put it like right next to him. And then when he realizes he's winning, as like a psychological threat almost, he would put the watch back on. And the same with Hikaru. He goes and he puts his jacket back on and he's like, it's time, man, let's wrap this up. Yeah. Lugno, very close. It was actually a player named, let me get the pronunciation right, Leia Garifulini. Garifulini. I'm not sure if Lugno played in the tournament, did she? In second place, Nurgul, who also played in the candidates, I believe. She played quite well in the World Cup too. Did she win the World Cup, or she got to semi-finals? And Jinazu in third, and Lu Maoi. I've played her. I think I played her at the World Olympiad in the first round. Very strong player, international master. Cool beans. I almost asked which city is the Reykjavík Open taking place in? Well, it's a question, so, you know. It's almost like when someone asked me, do you know which country Tour de France is happening in? And I said, England. Because I genuinely thought that it started in England. And that they rode their bikes to France. So, listen here, I learn something new every single day. And I think that learning is a very important part of life. Kasparov does the same when he... Okay. Hey, I am not going to read messages anymore in chat. I'm going to read them in my head first. I can't trust you anymore. All right. I'm liking how solid this position is looking so far. And if chat suggests I turn off the engine, we will just wing it and go rogue, analyzing this position with no engine. I think d4 is a very, very difficult move to see in a position like this. And he's thinking long and hard. Kostya has left the board and is probably going to get himself a double espresso as well. Since it's worked for Dennis so far, look at all of his pieces, they've been yeeted. It's like there was an east wind. Wait, east is in the other direction. East for Dennis. I realize this with players quite often, is that when they're wearing a t-shirt at the chessboard, they like to hide under it like a turtle. Does that make chess players like turtles or turtles like chess players? Yeah, that's the second trivia question. We can take a quick look at what the idea is behind this move d4. Because if black takes the pawn on d4, what is the major threat? Since the bishop is now pinned, I'm trying to make some sacrifices work here. And this is also a big engine, really likes white. Okay, thinking out loud. Idea is check and checkmate. I don't know what black can do to stop it. d3, but the bishop will just take probably. And f5 also trying, and just bishop takes f5 too. Yeah, that seems a bit too much. Whenever I hear live hall sounds coming from the camera, I often think that they can hear me too, but luckily it's just like YouTube video footage, so we're good. We are absolutely good. It took Kostya almost 15 minutes to come up with rook a8 to d8, and I think that maybe a minute of that was deciding that rook a d8 is in fact an okay move, and a lot of that time was dedicated to calculating all the sacrifices and potential that white has on the king side, which is super important. And to have the confidence to just say, you know what, it doesn't mean much, your queen on h5 can chill, I'm just going to play rook a d8. And what I think, and this is just my prediction for this match, is that at some point Dennis might get a little impatient. I don't know Dennis as a person, I don't know Dennis as a player, but just given the camera footage, watching the game, and my 20 years of chess experience, which means absolutely nothing, my prediction is that Kostya is going to hold. And it's going to be a very equal position with Dennis trying to push. And then at some point, he will crack. And he will overextend. And Kostya will grab that opportunity and run with it. This time, wisdom is chasing, and he's not fast enough. Wait, that one doesn't work the other way around. I take it back. I need to come up with better analogies. And Dennis the Menace. What if Kostya goes knight f4? I think it helps in this position. I think it helps white quite a lot. Because after knight to f4, I think just bishop takes, right? Bishop takes, pawn takes, and knight f5. Or maybe even not that knight, maybe the other knight. 94. Because you're just putting yourself in a pin. I was looking at knight f5. Aha! Okay, so knight e4 to cut off the queen. So the queen now no longer has any squares, And the plan is to play d4 with some probably discovered attack later on, trying to play. Okay, let's see. d4 probably. I clearly understand chess very well. Knight f5. Bishop takes. Queen takes. And now this is the idea. Yes. Queen e5? Yeah, this is complicated. Okay. Well, Dennis has spent about 10 minutes right now thinking about his idea. There's a good chance he'll come up with d4. I think he sees the plan. There's also a good chance he plays a different move order. And I think it would also be a perfect time for us now to take our first break of the day. What I might do is quickly try to get a coffee refill, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes. So if you also need to go and do your thing, go do it. Get some snacks, get some popcorn, bring them here, and I'll see you guys soon. Hello everyone, I am back. I just accidentally also prepared myself some dinner because it was like semi ready, so I was like, okay, let me get some dinner for myself. So here it is. It's a green salad. And what I might do quickly is just put the board back up and not have you watch me eat dinner. Um, and then I'll be back in like 2 minutes because I'm literally going to be a vacuum cleaner and be like, and then yeah. But I'll be back and you don't go anywhere. And I'm back, this time for good. And can we believe it? I think that Dennis has been thinking. Actually, no, I don't think. I know. Dennis has been thinking for over 20 minutes already. So he's trying to really figure things out. Wonder what he's considering. I'm feeling a D4. But also my spidey senses are considering that since he's been analyzing this position for so long, we might even see a different move order. Something like knight f5 first, something like bishop h6 first. Who knows? Salad or dinner, which is it? Salad for dinner. Nothing wrong with that. It's just because I had a really heavy dinner yesterday, and then this morning right before my stream I had a big bowl of oats, so I was like feeling kind of full the whole day. Yeah. I was just worried that during my stream in the morning I'd get hungry, but I didn't, and so it had a ripple effect on the entire day, so I didn't want to have anything heavy for dinner tonight. He's thinking, why didn't I get a venti? Right, we have to organize some coffee for Dennis. Maybe Kostya went to go and buy some coffee for his opponent, thinking this could very well be a masterpiece. And since Kostya's playing so solidly, he needs to offer his opponent a leg up, saying, I don't need it, but you sure do. I saw a move on my side, because the live position is a bit ahead of the board, and I feel a sneeze coming on. Maybe it's from all the excitement in this position. I want to see what move he made. I might cheat. Oh my god. Okay, I'm freaking out right now. It's on the board. We have a d4. A d4 is on the board. Okay, I need to make sure that we speed this up a little bit. Yeah. I hope that has sped up enough. I'm going to zoom in actually on the camera and look at the time situation as opposed to the board. So the board says an hour 40. I can't see. My eyesight is horrible. So it's like 10-second difference, I think. I might do this. We are going to pull off the sink of the century. So we need to go ahead 10 more seconds. Something like this. Yes! Okay, that's as close as we're gonna get. It's like 2-second difference, which I think is actually perfect. And now we get prime time content, y'all. That's what we're getting. You'd be so scared playing with the black pieces, so many white attackers flooding the king side. It's very true. And the thing is, players are very likely at a lower level to believe in their opponent's attack more than the opponents believe in their own attack. And that can scare you off. You can start seeing ghosts in the position, believing you are worse, making even more compromising decisions and choices over the board, pushing pawns where you shouldn't, placing pieces in passive places because you feel like you have to defend, when in fact it's more bark and less bite. And that's exactly what I think Kostya is spending a lot of time considering, whether these moves are in fact deadly or not. And I think that even though it's showing white having a slight edge in this position, there are lots of ways, I believe, to even deal with this. So let's take a look at our options. And I say our options because we are collectively chat. All of us are playing with the black pieces here. And we're, emitting all the positive energies towards Kostya right now. So if you have energy points in chat, please donate them. Kostya puts his jacket on. Is that a prediction? Oh, no, I don't believe so. I do see that his opponent's jacket went back on though. Yes. Oh! Kostya also put his jacket back on. I'm clearly not looking at the cameras. Like at all. Okay. Back to the options. Finally, there are 2 lines available for us to take a look at. What I might even do is add a third one because I'm feeling spicy today. And that might take a while to load and also lessen the strength of the engine. Maybe we should increase the strength of the engine. Instead of Stockfish 17, we should go Stockfish 17 light. We should go full on Stockfish 17. I'm ready. We're all ready. Computer might not be ready. It might start roaring like a lion in Africa, which is where I am right now. It's going. It's analyzing. It's telling us 0-0. So what are the options? Well, naturally, I would have thought knight f6 was just a simple way of getting rid of the queen, because the queen cannot retreat or sidestep to any of the similar squares that it's on right now. Or, you know, it can't even go to g4. It has to go all the way back to f3. And now I think it might even be okay. I mean, nothing's okay, ever. I just really don't want to take. Because after knight f5... If the queen retreats, knight h6, and the knight's hanging. So bishop d5 might be forced. Queen d1. And again, the whole point or argument I was trying to make is piece harmony or piece coordination, which is super tough. And now probably moving the queen is important. I was even thinking about moving it forward, but you may in fact just lose the pawn. Do you? Well, you don't lose the pawn, but there's knight f5, and I think it leads to losing the pawn. Queen e6. Ooh, f3. Okay, let's not do that. And it's confirmed. d4 by white took 32 minutes to be played. Woof. Woof. And that is all bark and some bite. I just wanted to put up my stream manager on my phone so I can keep an eye on my own chat to make sure that they're behaving, you know? It's always very important to make sure your own chat is behaving. So, watching you guys. Thank you for the follows so far on all the channels, because I get the notifications in the restream chat. 2 Jessies in one day. Hey, Giant Pixels. Well, I'm not sure if Jessie Kraai was streaming earlier, but I definitely was on my channel. We need to have an ultimate showdown, I think. Who is the best Jessie? Jessie 1.0 or Jessie 2.0? We should have a showdown, like a chess boxing match. But instead of actual boxing, we can do like Nintendo boxing or Xboxing. Oh, that would be great. Find something we're both good at. Us? We're always behaving. Kappa, says the mod. Hey Christomia, how are you? Morning Jessie or evening Jessie? I personally prefer evening Jessie. She's less groggy. Morning Jessie's still waking up, making very questionable remarks about certain matters, and definitely has a lower tolerance for chat. Yeah. You are welcome. I'm glad that you finally received your $40 gift card to Chessable, which was one of the competitions I was hosting on my channel, giving away Chessable vouchers in a raffle. That was on Saturday, last Saturday. And I really hope to do more of those soon. So make sure to be following the channel in the Discord. Sorry, I'm plugging my own channel. Forget me. We're here to focus on the chess. I'm seeing some moves being made. What happened? Oh, Kostya's about to play. What is he gonna play? Knight f6 is on the board. Let's go. I like knight f6. Why has it not been updated on the board? Okay, I think this is a DGT error, not an us error. Definitely not. I synced it perfectly. Drum roll. There we go. The queen went back to f3 very quickly. I think because of knight f6, bishop d5 is just a natural next move. But also you don't want to play something like bishop to d5 because of the pin on your queen and rook. Then again, I do think it's forced. What happens if another move? What other move is there? Because if you come back knight d7, which is a try, attacking the knight again and maybe trying to provoke, the queen is already on f6. Wait, what? Alright, knight h to f5. Takes, queen takes, knight f8, and they'll never be mate. Queen f3. Okay, this is very complicated. I think as a human looking at this position, I'm going to call it equal for now. I'm going to call it equal. These plans are way too complicated, at least for me, upon first glance, to try and say, okay, this is pretty straightforward. And looking over at the engine, yeah. The reason why knight d7 works here is because even though knight c6 is hanging, just, you know, queen takes h4. And I think bishop d5 will be on the board really soon. But he's caught up on time, 51 minutes for each player. And things aren't heating up on the board because they both have their jackets back on. So perhaps things are cooling down? Question mark? The entire point of this channel, compared to others, is to analyze chess without the computer. Having it on defeats the purpose. You make a very valid point. And right, we can do that. If that's what sets the channel apart from others, then by all means, I'm really happy to do so. So if chat agrees, and that is something that we're happy to do, then let's do that. Would you prefer the evaluation bar to stay on? And then instead of me looking at the lines, I will just tell you what I'm thinking. Or shall we just turn off the evaluation bar altogether? And that way, bishop d5 got a great move, let's go. And I'm not at all fighting against what you said. I do appreciate the feedback, I really, really do. So let me know what you prefer. I know you were also trying to say it in the nicest way possible. Please speak up if that has been your opinion. I don't want to have you guys just take the back seat and not say anything about it. So if you agree, say it. It's just the reason I use the engine and not religiously, of course. I do try to give my own opinion first before consulting the engineers, because I feel like I cannot commentate at the same level these players are playing. But if it's all the same to you, of course I can turn it off. Stockfish needs to include jacket evaluation. Alright, we're getting a lot of mixed comments, but I'm probably going to turn it off. Unfortunately, I can't separate them between the Dojo channel and ours. No bar, but bar Jesse version 2.0. Alright, let's do it. You have a lot of faith in me. Thank you so much for believing. And now we have unfettered. It's gonna be kind of rough for me because I'm very used to trying to understand the evaluation that the bar suggests. So now instead of leaning on that, I'm gonna lean on chat. I think that's fine. It's just more challenging. I do appreciate the feedback, thank you. There's a move he could make right now and win. What is it? His opponent resigning? Give me 1 second. I think collectively, we all make chess less boring. What I find the most boring to do, or maybe if it's not that boring, it's just a little bit lonely, is I'll be busy with my own work, and either I'll have a student or a friend who's competing in a tournament, and I'll have the game up on a different monitor while working. So I'll be listening to music, I'll be watching the game, I'll be busy with work, because I don't particularly like multitasking, but having a lot of things in front of me make me do feel a little bit less lonely. But then it comes to streaming and, you know, commentating or co-commentating and having an active chat where there are a lot of opinions and we can also go off topic sometimes. It's just exhilarating. I feel like I learn a lot more and have fun doing it. I think it's great. But now you're teaching me something else, so I appreciate it. Yeah. If you do feel as though you're watching the game and it's hard to follow, hard for me too, then you can probably just look at the events page on chess.com. That board is a little bit delayed, but at least you'll be able to make some moves on the board to check the evil. Thank you for calling me smart. Lean on us when you're not strong. We'll be your friends. Lean on me when you're not strong. Thank you, Chess Dojo. I'm not sure who's behind the name today, but I appreciate you being in chat. Your chat, Chess Dojo, has now encouraged me to turn off the evaluation bar and analysis completely, which has put me in a very difficult situation because for me it's always been important to lean on it, especially for the Women's World Championship match. I leave the evaluation bar on, but I cover the lines with chat and then I continue to ask questions. And that way we're able to see, or at least I'm able to see, if there are any tactics or missing. So now chat will have to be the evaluation bar. So if I miss something crazy, please tell me, otherwise I'm never gonna learn. Now, how do I make smart comments about the position? Yes. Hello, new people. How are you? Well, we have a real chess dojo sensei in chat, so they can let us know what's happening. When do we ever go off topic? Listen here, it's all about story time on this channel. We love our story time. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Dennis who spent 32 minutes in a position where he thought he could be a menace. Unfortunately, he did not succeed and ended up retreating the queen, and Kostya emerged victorious. The end. That's a new nursery rhyme that they're telling the kids these days. Am I from Ireland? I am not, but it's very cool that you think I have an Irish accent. I'm from South Africa. Beautiful. I'm so glad you liked it. Well, you called it an evil bar, so let's prove that true. So why I thought, and this is before we switched off the evaluation, why I thought that and why we saw white was a little bit better and what my assumption was, is because of black's piece harmony and piece coordination. Because black was pretty much forced, in order to get white to retreat the queen, was to place the knight on f6 and the bishop on d5. I think ideally what Kostya would like to achieve is open files for the rooks and not having to worry about the future of this queen. Because the queen is now being somewhat forced to probably move, right? Now we're giving evaluation. Queen f8 was played. Queen f8 was played, so the position hadn't updated immediately, unfortunately. And what surprises me is that Dennis sat down and almost immediately played knight h5. So now if we take the knight, queen takes, the idea is probably to play something like knight f5. And we can't play g6 because h6 hanging. This is difficult, please help. Yeah. Knights on the rim are also on the brim. Without an evaluation bar, everything seems like a draw until you see the result. You're like, oh, is this a butterfly? You sound like you're from Cape Town. I lived in Cape Town for a couple of years. I'm originally from a city called Port Elizabeth. Queen f8 is nice because you're getting away from this pin. And the pawns in the center are definitely more dynamic than they are static, since black wants to probably achieve just exchanging some pieces to relieve the pressure. And it can be very intimidating having the knights and bishops so close to the king. The bishops not so much, but the range definitely. The knights quite literally reaching over, and is only one little finger or an hand or an arm or an elbow away from the king, depending on the measurement method that you use in the place that you're from. I know America uses feet. In South Africa, we use elbows. This is about 5 elbows long. Yeah. Please help me in this position. Your parents are from Durban. Durban is a beautiful city. I didn't know gambling was legal in India. What is Port Elizabeth called now? I'm not entirely sure why I allow chat to be the chat that we see today. You see, you gotta be the chat that you want to see in the world. Unfortunately, that is not possible if you allow the world to have global warming. Online is legal, doesn't that just defeat the whole purpose? Well, isn't alcohol also illegal in India? I suppose online drinking doesn't quite exist. So it's hard to make that comparison. It's like saying crime is illegal, but online crime is fine. I'll get there someday. All right, back to the position. The think time was about 6 minutes for queen to f8 and 17 seconds for knight h5. Question for chat. And this is not trivia based. This you're allowed to give your opinion. And no opinion is stupid. There are no stupid answers, I was once told. Only stupid people. I'm joking. That's what my accounting teacher told me. She told me that there are no stupid answers, only stupid people. But I never believed her. I always believed that everyone had their own strengths, even if some people's strengths weren't that strong. All right. I would want to take to avoid losing a tempo by moving the knight back, because black would be achieving two things. Relieving some pressure. Unfortunately, the queen does come back to the king side, even though it was disinvited to the party. But also relieving this kind of pressure can help Kostya maybe to play something along the lines of rook to d6, rook to e6. I know this decision will be quite difficult. Good pronouncing, even Xhosa in the Xhosa language. Well, I learned isiXhosa in school, studied it for 9 years, and now the name of our city is Reykjavík instead of Port Elizabeth, which is a very elegant name for a city, which has now been changed for no apparent reason. Ooh, question, is e4 possible here? Oh, what I would do for an evaluation bar right now. Is this what craving is? Is it an addiction? Please help me. I worry about those characters there, Christomir. Looks like a slur. Rebecca. I think that you will definitely run away with the title. My hope is that the tournament will end in about 3 rounds. Not at all, because I'm actually having to travel to a different city by car and can't do so until the match is over. So, yeah, not at all a personal preference. More according to the energy that the players have. Avoiding automat is crazy. Surely Chess Dojo have developed a manually adjustable evil bar. Does Chess Dojo want to join me on stream right now? And we can talk about it together. We can laugh, and we can chat, and we can talk about the prospects of this position. All right. Let us find reasons why e4 doesn't work. Because no way Dennis would allow it if it does work. All right. It's called IPA. Isn't that a kind of beer? I was a waitress once. David has a pawn addiction. Does he like pushing pawns? Or like gambiting pawns? What sort of openings are we talking about? Can't you just fake a power cut? And I didn't fake a power cut, and I wouldn't. That opportunity is way too important to me, just like this one. So I really don't want to mess up. All right. He likes taking free pawns. Let's go! I also like taking free pawns. Because sometimes, if it's poisonous, why is it free? They always say the first one is free. And then the second one is really just on you. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on my parents. I wonder if g5 is possible. g5 looks beautiful. Okay, but it's white to move in this position. And taking, bishop takes, rook takes, rook takes. So taking is not possible. Let's go knight f5. With the idea of ... .com. Maybe rook e6 here. See, no way this would be allowed. Maybe even queen g4. Ah, maybe queen g4 first, actually. So queen g4 in this position. Now we're getting somewhere. Because bishop takes h6 is a problem. But not a problem we cannot fix. There is not a problem in the world that is unfixable. I worry about the bishop though. This is something you definitely don't want to lock out of the diagonal, but maybe it was actually necessary. I'm not entirely sure. Could we play queen here now? But the pawn on e4 is hanging. Let's go back to the current position. Maybe there were some moves. There wasn't any yet. Okay. I'm starting to think chat meant something else. And that only came to my attention right now. Yeah. Very bad chat. Bad. Okay. If you were playing with the black pieces right now, what would you play? Also, I'm giving you guys a 5-second heads up that I'm about to turn the engine on and off again. So please close your eyes in 3, 2, 1. Okay, you can open your eyes again. That was exhilarating. Sorry, I just relapsed. You'd play knight takes h5. It's a good suggestion, Amy. Rook d6. Rook d6 is quite interesting. Maybe... What I'm worried about with rook d6 is taking here. I mean, it could look quite good for black, actually, because of the bishop opening up. However, after knight takes, rook takes, queen takes bishop. Bishop is hanging, so you might have to take back with the pawn. And immediately feels like black is suffering a little bit. So here, just queen back to h5. And now the idea is just taking the pawn. Yeah. Knight f3, knight takes f3. Yeah, that seems tough. Okay, rook d6, what else? Yeah, load shedding is quite difficult to deal with. Well, all rules do have exceptions too. And I agree. This time, the rule of knights on the rim are dim have been completely thrown out of the window. Knight f5 simply attacking d6 and g7. Knight f5. Right. But remember, it's black to move here. So my question was, what should black play? What should Kostya play? g6. We try not to push pawns on the side that were weaker, plus the knight's hanging. So careful for that. Rook d6, knight f5 as well. Very nice catch. Yes. And this bishop is just underprotected. Kadric likes these positions a lot. That makes a lot of sense. I would also quite enjoy looking at the prospects of attacking my opponent. It's not ever fun being on the defensive end, but I guess there is some exhilaration that comes from the ability to fend off your opponents. So when they strike, you know, being able to just be like, not today, potato. Yeah. Sorry. What is my ELO? My FIDE rating is 2050, and I have a goal of getting to 2100. I have a couple tournaments lined up over the next few months. Hopefully I'll be able to compete in all of them. And in my peripheral vision, I can see on the live board that a move has been made, and Dennis played within like 2 seconds of that move. Which makes me think that Kostya just, I'm thinking a lot here, just knight takes h5. So knight takes h5, queen takes h5, and maybe Kostya can do another think here. I think rook e6 is a serious consideration. What do you guys think, rook e6 here? Because you really do want to defend the h6 pawn. I think the queen is fine where it is at the moment. And another note. Wait, chat. If rook e6, bishop f5, rook f6, bishop g5. Maybe it's okay. Maybe you can take the bishop. Because after knight takes, you go here. And this seems very inconclusive. I wouldn't know what to do. Let's try something else. Rook d6. And knight f5. Okay. So maybe these two moves are actually refuted. And we truly have to come up with some other idea. And it's sad we can't even bring the bishop back to control a different diagonal because the c7 pawn is just chillin'. Can we play? No, we can't even play knight here. e7 here. What about just taking the pawn, threatening the rook? That could be a try. But remember, I was also mentioning e4. I think e4 would be a serious consideration. We know f3 won't work. Maybe queen g4. Yeah. Chat. You have to defend right now. I thought your peripheral vision was reserved for reading offline chat. Sorry, I changed the font size. I need to wear my glasses. My peripheral vision was reserved for reading offline chat. Yeah. I told you why I was in offline chat. Sometimes I just have my stream manager open, but I had to check the... What was I actually doing? Oh yes, I was checking the timestamps or the messages of the prizes for It's Time for Africa from the raffle, because when my computer shut off during the commentary, I also lost all of the notes that I hadn't saved on my computer, because I usually just put my computer to sleep. So then I lost all the winners' names, so I had to go to my video producer, happened across the fact that they removed all the bot follows from my Twitch channel, which I was really happy about, and then just saw my offline chat going at it. It was great. You think I made all of that up? I'm not that creative. I feel something like E takes D4 is looking for counterplay if needed. Ooh, suggestions. Let's go. Thank you, Pawn Wonder. Yeah. I know Pawn Wonder quite well. I'm starting to dox you, by the way. Seen you at many, many tournaments. And you even coached your sister at a tournament that we were both at. I was commentating. And Pawn Wonder also played in our tournament. It's Time for Africa. Did quite well, in fact. Also gave back to the community a little bit. So E takes D4, you mentioned as potential counterplay. And my camera just shut off because of all the spice in this game. No, what I forgot to do was turn on the fan. The fan keeps my camera cool. Yeah, there we go. I just need to zoom in a little bit as well. And you can see my wonderful pajama pants. Yeah, there we go. And we're back. My camera overheats sometimes. I've been using it for streaming since 2021. So I think it's just seen better days. I was just activating my chair's sport mode because of how exciting this position is getting. Alrighty. Okay. So what I was thinking is that this is forced because of course the rook is undefended, rooks are not connected. And what would happen if rook takes is the bishop is lost. So you might have to take with the queen. And after taking with the queen, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe bishop takes h6. What do you think of this move? What is sport mode? So probably it originates from cars that have a sport mode where you can go 180 kilometers to like 220 kilometers with a push of a button. Not really, I don't know how sport mode works, but I do know that some cars have a sport mode. And Crocs also have a sport mode. So when you're wearing Crocs, you just take the little like loop that's on your Croc and you put it at the back, and that way you activate your own little sport mode. And my chair has it too. So we just think better when we own I'm full of nonsense. Please don't even take me seriously. Was I in a tournament in Hamburg last year? Was I in Germany? No. I was 2 years ago. I was in Düsseldorf. I was playing in the World Teams Rapid and Blitz. Suffered quite badly. E takes d4, bishop takes h6, and I need something good here. Ah, right, defending the rook. So you don't even exchange. You don't even give a chance for your opponent to breathe. The reason why I didn't look at this first is because the queen is still protecting the pawn. Because now here, but this is the same thing, no? Same position, I'm assuming. Giant Pixels also floods my offline chat with things, that's true. Pajamas are dinnerware. In this house they are. You said sport mode. Yeah, I was just trying to think of an explanation. Hey Maripan, how are you? Oh, bishop takes h6 if he takes d4, okay. We're all in agreement. Someone ran a marathon in Crocs. That's concerning. Are their feet okay? Well, Crocs are very comfortable. I wear them too. Not the traditional Crocs, just like like flip-flops Crocs that are like super comfy. You're from America. That's nice to know. We should look for counterplay, but I can't see it. Well, let's go back to the live position. And let's look for counterplay together. Chat, I need all the suggestions so that we can solve this puzzle that is this game. Because I can't imagine this can be very comfortable to play with, just because you're having to fend off all the attacks before worrying about your own piece play. Chicago, I hear, has some amazing pizza. Have you ever been to America? I've never been to any of the Americas, South America, North America, Canada. I've never visited. We're going to see blood in this game. I think we already are. Yeah. Why have I never been? I don't know. I was invited to a tournament once or twice. I almost went to university. Either I applied at UTD, I applied at Webster University in St. Louis, I applied to University of Lubbock. All of these had like really good and strong chess programs too. Unfortunately, it was just very expensive. I had received like a partial scholarship, academic scholarship, and a chess one too. I was already Women International Master by the time that I applied, but my rating just wasn't there. I think if it had been like a couple 100 points more, maybe I would have gotten a full ride. But just with the conversion rate, the full total, it's just really expensive to maintain a lifestyle as a student in America on a limited budget. But I'm happy with how things turned out. And now we're streaming, so. Oh, St. Louis is right by you, nice. Dojo has 31,377 followers. Help us get to 50k. Well, if you're not following the Chess Dojo, you're not living life right. So go to Twitch, click on the follow button, and you'll feel better about yourself. And we saw G6 on the board. G6 chat? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay. How do we feel about G6? And we might break out into song, which I'm trying to avoid. Like G6, like G6. Sorry. Thanks, Waterfall. We'll go over G6 in a moment. Unfortunately, the misplaced pieces have been, I feel, in some way forced. It wasn't at all his decision to put the pieces there. They just happened to be there right now. We gotta get you here. Well, if there's a big chess tournament in Chicago, by all means, I would love to participate. Come on, sis. Oh dear, Pawn Wonder thinks it's a quick death. So let's take a closer look. One of the most logical things or approaches I would see in this position is immediately taking the pawn with the knight. Maybe even with the bishop, but let's take a look at this first. Queen takes check. Queen g7. Maybe not even queen g7. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes. Might be even more worth looking at. Point being, the queen has to move. So maybe queen f7. I don't know, chat. Of course, d takes e5 is out of the question. You also really... but queen takes h6. And this is mate. Oh boy. I suppose queen takes h6 is also possible if you just want to keep things a little bit more simple. But I think Dennis has more in mind at the moment. Yeah, I heard that if you grow up being an Irish dancer, you lose the ability to ever play chess. You think knight takes g6? Oof. Okay, knight takes g6, pawn takes g6, bishop takes g6. And after rook to e6, maybe... No, let's take with the queen. Queen takes, queen g7. I don't know. That's why I really think taking with the bishop might be even spicier. Because if it ain't spicy, it ain't nicey. GM Magic tends to misplace your pieces. Oh wait, I got a message from my friend to tell me how her tournament in Jersey went. And she came second, let's go! And Zal came second in the tournament. And actually tied first, she got 7.5. I think she's gaining some really good rating as well. I wanted to watch her game today, but Houseline TV stole the DGT board. That's okay, we forgive him. Help quickly. Let's take a look at this, because I think some moves were made. Take both on g6 and h6 with bishops. And then bishop takes. Because wherever the queen goes, seems like tickets. Because if queen goes anywhere like d6, then you have bishop h7. That's rough. Bishop h7, right? Because of king h7, then there's just... I don't know, something like bishop g5. And if king takes, there's bishop here check. I missed this. Let's come back. My tactics. Wow, best stream in Africa. That's some high praise right there. Thank you. Yeah, so the chess.com event boards are a little bit behind, but we have the special boards that are live. Wait, knight takes g6 happened? Oh my goodness. Close your eyes real quick, chat. Okay, you can open them again. Right. Okay, I still do want to take a look at this again. The rook doesn't have to move. It's not forced. We can look at different options. Maybe bishop f7, knight e7. Yeah, playing without this bishop is kind of tough. Bishop f7 might not be bad. Perhaps the problem with this is just bishop takes h6 anyway. But then you take, no, queen takes check. Okay, here, is this just the same thing, probably like this? It is the same thing, okay. You do not want that. 17 minutes left for Kostya. Yeah, close your eyes. The evaluation was R-rated. Smart guy, be nice. Take the rook. In what position? This one? Yeah, you want to try and find a way to stop bishop takes h6, but that is not very easy. Maybe there are some tactics and some tries, which I'm figuring out. Yeah, you sort of want this bishop to be here right now. Maybe, what if we just threw in the kitchen sink here? So hear me out. Knight takes d4, pawn takes d4, bishop takes d4. Because now you're equal in material. The only problem is your king. And if white wastes a move with bishop takes e8, you've got this and this. I mean, if king h2, yeah, you might get checkmated. There's a slight chance. Or maybe not, because takes, check, there's this. Never mind. So takes, knight takes, pawn takes here. Oh, right. They could just be this, and it's really tough to defend. So you could maybe play this and rook e7, rook f1. I want a refund. Yeah, maybe that's like forced, and things don't actually get easier after that. Queen g2. Life's good sometimes, chat. Yeah, listen, sometimes we're all blinded by the obvious. Well, that's normal. When you're looking for something so deep that you miss the thing on the surface. Mate on g2. Yeah, I think that I bought my title on Craigslist. And now that I'm found out, I feel so free. I feel freed finally. It was the best 5 minutes of your day. Come on. You have no idea what's happening in the position. Yeah, neither do I. Don't tell her. Do Americans say the kitchen sink expression? I've only heard British and Australians and New Zealanders say it. Mate on g2, mate in 1. Yeah, I'm learning a lot. How do you evaluate if it's a sacrifice or a blunder? Everything is a sacrifice until proven blunder. That is the mantra. we're getting low on time. I think it's okay because even though you still have problems to figure out, I think that at the end of this thinking process, Kostya will know for sure. You know, the calculation that is required in this position is probably relatively straightforward. You just have to consider very basic tactics and what you are okay with giving up if you have to give up something. Because white's giving up a knight for 2 pawns. Maybe we have to give up the exchange in order to survive a little bit. Maybe you don't even have to take, but I think you might have to take because queen g7, just bishop h6. To throw in the kitchen sink. Oh, okay. Queen g7 was played. Maybe the idea is after bishop h6, just queen h7, but then you lose the queen. I don't know. Queen f6. Maybe taking, but then bishop takes and maybe now here. Yeah, this could hold for a little bit. I'm not missing any maiden ones, am I? Would it be admirable to resign? No, I think it would be very premature. I think there's still a lot of fight left. Because remember, as much as your opponent may look like they're winning, it's also important for them to prove that they can convert and win the game. So you always have to pose questions to your opponent, put up a fight. I think that's even more honorable. I mean, of course, if you're 8 pawns down and you only have a king, you can't sit around hoping and waiting for stalemate. That is a little disrespectful. Yeah. Your best friend is a Jake. That's cool. That's nice. Bishop h6 is on the board. Yeah, I think we're gonna see taking the knight and, taking the knight, bishop takes. This is for sure what's going to happen because there's really no square for the queen. No, I think that Kostya will fight on. I think that's the right thing to do here. There are dozens of us. Dozens. The Jake takeover starts. I was talking to my chat, I think it was yesterday, about having nicknames and what your nicknames would be. So my nicknames are as follows. My street name is Pedro. My regular side name is James. My second name is Nikki. And my last name is February. Yeah. I hope that he wasn't pulling a Gary Kasparov. I think it was just he was getting cold. I mean, I assume that it's very normal for organizers to keep the hall cool. For many reasons. Unlike the summer tournaments I played last year in Spain, where they had like one fan for 100 players, and the temperature is like 40 degrees and you're sitting in a small hall, and the morning sun just caused like all the chaos, and you're drenching and swimming in perspiration. He does have the jacket on. Why no evaluation? Because we are grandmasters and we are here to commentate in a very grandmastery way. What's my ethnicity? Stonks. My name is Jesse, Pedro, James, Nikki, February, and I'm from Stonksland. I identify as a Stonks. Sweaty chess in the literal sense, exactly. And the opponent's sweaty and you're sweaty and everything's sweaty. Okay, so that's exactly what happened on the board. Wow, we actually predicted that without any evaluation. And queen d7, as we said. Queen d7 as well. I think these are very logical tries right now. And what I think is coming next as well is probably this idea of playing bishop takes rook. And I'm seeing the live board camera, and I'm not sure what was played, but I do know he made a move. Bishop takes, maybe, I'm not sure if queen takes actually, but if queen takes, then queen to g5, check, and yeah, I don't think queen will take. So bishop takes, rook takes, queen g6 check. King h8, maybe queen f6, king h7 would be quite interesting actually. Maybe even just, yeah, king h7, so king h8, queen, king h7. And lots of moves have been played. Oh, rook e3 immediately. Oh wow, and there was indeed a resignation. We'll probably see the next couple of moves and okay, players have ended the game. Oh. I do understand that was quite a rough one. I did like the ideas in the opening, as well as moving on to the middle game. It escalated so quickly, and I think Dennis just threw all his pieces in one direction, and that's usually when the tactics start to explode. But Kostya held on tight, and for that we commend him. He's still playing really well. I think he's sitting on, plus rating. But otherwise, good. Thank you. I really do appreciate you guys being here for this. I just have to quickly switch off the YouTube because the YouTube live ended. I'm not entirely sure if Kostya is going to be joining us on the call to chat a bit about the game. So if you guys do have some questions about the game, you can let me know in the chat. And I'm not sure what that sound is. I'm freaking out at the moment because I don't know what the noise is. Noises in my head. Is my phone ringing? Someone needs to explain where the music's coming from. You have the question about the prep. Kostya's prep. I understand. Tell him about the knight takes d4 line. We should. We should chat about that. Problem is, it's not coming from Discord. So I'm going to go through all my apps and find out where the music is coming from. Oh dear. I'm closing everything. Nothing's working. We can actually bring up somebody else's game. In the meantime, we can look at Anna's game. If you can hear the music, I do apologize rather profusely. There's just one problem. I don't know where it's coming from. Shazam it. It's on my computer somewhere, to be honest with you. Yep, vibraphones. So we do a quick call. Yes, Kostya's joining us. Let's go. Let me just try to set up. This is killing me. Okay. You know what? I think I know where it's coming from. There it is. I found it. I didn't find it. Found it. All right, we're good. We found the noise. Oh, finally. It wasn't just in our head. Okay. We're gonna tell Kostya that we had voices in our head. Like I said, if you do have any questions, chat, let me know. It's getting louder. Restart the PC while I'm streaming, yes. Do you ever make it out to the States? Well, not at the moment. No. Hi!
Hello, hello.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, not great.
Oh dear.
That was rough. Unfortunately, that was big failure of prep.
Ah, it was part of your prep up until what point? Maybe I can show everyone in chat while I have you.
Whole game up until final position was prep. No.
Oh, okay.
No. Basically, until he played Queen H5, like I think I had this position at home. Yeah, I don't know if you guys were watching with the engine at all, but like, I couldn't remember if the move there after Queen H5 was Queen F6 or maybe Rook AD8.
Let's take a look.
F6.
Ah, okay, Queen H5.
Yeah. So Queen H5, Queen F6 makes sense because I hit F2.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I was thinking is white can go Knight E4 there, and then I have to go back Queen E7. But maybe that's what black is supposed to do, because then after Knight E4, Queen E7, I mean, it looks dumb because I just gave a tempo, but then I am turning Knight F6 to kind of trade some pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's fine. Yeah, I wasn't sure, because Rook AD8, D4, that looked incredibly scary there.
Yeah, so we were looking at the game with the engine up until a certain point, and until your chat was like shouting at me for having the engine on, and then I decided, okay, enough bullying. let's become a grandmaster. So then we switched off the engine, and I was relying on chat to like guide me through the analysis. So
Smart.
we were watching also like how much time you were spending on every move. So instead of queen f6, you opted for rook a to d8. And I was like, this is probably something you play after trying to figure out all the problems on the king side and just saying, okay, I'm going for central control and so on. Were you considering with rook a to d8 to bring the rook up at any point, like a rook lift? Or what was your idea behind it?
Oh, like the idea behind rook a d8?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess just to strengthen the position, like defend the knight on d5 in some lines and support taking on d4 if white ever plays d4,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously he did immediately. But yeah, I just couldn't really find like another useful move in the position other than rook a d8.
Okay. And where do you get your beats from? Because rook a to d8 is actually the best move in the position. And after d4, your idea of playing queen to f6 was accurate. Here. Because then knight e4, queen back to e7, and knight f5 is not much of a threat anymore, probably. And knight g3, queen f6, and repetition seems like...
So on d4, I had to go queen f6.
Yes, so one move after that. So rook a to d8 was absolutely perfect. Like, that's exactly what's recommended. You're playing like Stockfish 17 at the moment.
Well, then I probably successfully remembered my prep, because in my mind I remembered like queen h5, I make some move, and then the sack on h6 isn't working right away because takes queen f6, and white doesn't really have the attack. But I didn't check d4. Of course, I checked like a million lines before the game, so it's, I wasn't like expecting this exact position, but yeah, d4, queen f6, knight e4 again. I go back queen e7, and
so he can either go knight g3 back, where you can just play queen f6, or I'm not sure of another try, but perhaps even something like bishop b3 or rook d1, which doesn't seem nearly as, forceful for you.
Right.
Yeah, but it's amazing that queen h5 was still a part of your prep. Incredible. How likely did you think he was going to play this line?
Not really. I think it was just a terrible decision by me, to be honest, because like I go into a position where one mistake means I lose the game, and that's not really the point of playing e4 e5. I was trying to be solid with e4 e5, not like normally I play Sicilian, but I was like, all right, let's be solid today. So I wasn't trying to get a position where it's like, yeah, I'm just like one bad move away from getting mated. So no, I regret going for the whole line, even if like rook a8 was correct. Like that position was just too hard for me. Maybe if I had a second game, maybe now I'd be better equipped to handle that position. But for the first game, it's just like, ugh, brutal.
I completely understand. We were just thinking about how he was chucking all these pieces at the king side, and we're like, nah, you got this. I mean, you're figuring out all the problems. And I was like, he's gonna overextend for sure. He looks like someone who would get impatient and just lash out. And we saw g6 and started dancing to the idea of the song of like a g6, and that was the best thing about that position, probably.
Yeah, no, that was rough. I mean, okay, after d4, unfortunately, I didn't find queen f6. I kind of thought knight f6 was like, ooh, that looked kind of safe, because queen has to go back.
Yes.
But then it was very difficult. Queen f3, bishop d5, queen d1, and now he wants knight f5. And then on queen f8, I saw knight h5, but I just didn't see another move other than queen f8. That was that really made sense.
Yeah, so queen f8 was perfect, because you were trying to sidestep in the e file and also tried to sort of protect g7 and h6, I'm assuming.
I'll tell you what I missed. So knight h5, I took queen take, and then originally here my plan was to go e takes d4.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my issue was he takes on h6 right away.
Right.
I take back, and he just goes knight f5.
Oh, immediately. Okay, I was looking at rook
Yeah.
takes e8 actually, because then you take with the queen.
Right, that's what I originally calculated. I
Mm,
thought rook e8, queen takes h6, queen e6,
mm-hmm.
and I didn't see how I'm getting mated there. Bishop h7 check, king h8, bishop g6 check, king g8, queen h7 check, king f8.
Oh, wait. What happened here? King g8, yes. If queen h7, yeah, just
Yeah, then
much
king
better
f8.
for you. Rook d1.
Oh,
Yeah,
so he
there's
doesn't have to go
nothing.
queen h7 check.
Queen h7 check is probably not necessary. Let's see what else there is. Ah, he has to repeat, otherwise he's lost.
Oh, he has to repeat there. Okay, so yeah, this was kind of what I had in mind when I played queen f8, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, then instead of going rook takes e8, I thought maybe he just starts with knight f5, so he can
Okay,
take on h6 with the knight.
right.
And that position looked very rough for me because it's like I can't move my queen, knight h6 is coming, and my king just feels stuck.
Oh, I see. It's crazy that it's suggesting rook e6 and rook takes e6. Yeah, this seems like... Oh, this is a very difficult and complicated position.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
you
yeah, I
are
kind of
still...
figured during the game that I completely, soiled the bed in terms of
Oh my gosh.
what I
Yeah, but like you said,
did.
if there was one more game, you'd be well equipped. So if this ever happens, you'll know exactly what to do to sort your opponent out. It was nothing short of
Yeah.
exciting though, and that's also, for the content, hashtag.
No, I mean instructive game. Perfect attacking game by my opponent. He made it look easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, unfortunate, but it happens.
It does. It does indeed. But it was such a pleasure to be looking at your games and also sharing the commentary with your community. So thank you for the opportunity, Kostya.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. I mean, I really appreciate you covering. I'm sure everyone does as well. Win or lose, it's fun. It's fun to watch, I hope. I mean, it was a fun game. I was on the wrong side, but it was a fun game.
Oh dear. Yeah, it takes two to tango. So, in order for
Yeah.
it to seem like a fun game, you also had to play quite an important part. So there's always a bright side, glass half
Yeah.
full kind of person.
No, exactly. I actually have very good experience losing in style. I've done it. I've done, done quite a bit.
Oh no.
I think it's just something about my, I'd just rather get mated and lose quickly. Because okay, the other option I had after queen h5,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just losing with g6, I could have played e4 in that position.
Okay.
But e4 just looked very ugly regardless. You can go like knight f5, knight e3, and yeah, it's just gonna. I don't know. I think it was already bad anyway. But I don't know. Maybe it was more stubborn.
Yeah. Giving the pawn maybe. But I liked your approach because you made things very difficult for him, and he was spending, I think at some stage he was sitting at the board for like 30 minutes. And he just started thinking and thinking, and he ran out of coffee, and we sort of felt sorry for him for a little bit because he reached over and saw he ran out of coffee. But we're like, yeah, you deserve it. No.
That's funny. Well, I mean, I don't think it was that hard for him. I mean, he spent 30 minutes on d4, which definitely felt like the critical move.
Yeah.
And then once he finds d4, I feel like, I mean, the rest of the game probably wasn't that difficult. Presumably his idea when he played d4 was if I go ed4, he just takes on h6. And I think that was very dangerous. But yeah, lesson learned. Lesson learned.
Thank you for sharing your
Congrats.
thoughts during the
Wow.
game. I'm definitely going to take a look at this game again and try to better understand and unravel it because I feel like it's a lot higher level. And as soon as we switched off the engine, I was like, what's actually happening? And in one of the lines, I
Yeah.
missed a mate in one. So that was like a 5 minutes of bliss for
Hmm.
chat laughing at me. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cool. No, it's great that you got to analyze it a bit. Actually, I'll tell you. I mean, it's not really. It's not exactly a secret, but I do think like the secret to chess is just doing a lot of analysis on your own, like as much
Hmm.
as you can, and learning what you can from doing your own work, and then just very very occasionally checking the engine when you've already spent a bunch of time with the position yourself and you feel like you've analyzed everything that you could. Only at that last like moment, like just briefly then checking the engine, maybe it shows something interesting. But I yeah, I truly think like that's the key to getting better. Just like doing as much analytical work yourself as you can. OTB, even OTB, preferably.
Oh, there we go. And this is also a perfect time to plug your recap games, or recap videos rather.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been I've been doing recaps again for my personal channel because we got too many vids on Dojo's channel right now. And yeah, I haven't been using the engine for the recap vids. I just been giving my thoughts in full. And it's super fun actually. Actually, I would say it's liberating to not think about what the engine is saying about your game and just giving like your own opinion and then yeah, figuring out little by little, you know.
Do you do like a little engine
Like
react at the end? Be like, oh my gosh, I didn't see this.
maybe I should actually. Grischuk was doing these amazing recap videos of the World Championship match with Gukesh and Ding,
Oh.
where the first like 45 minutes he would analyze the game himself and show his thoughts,
Hmm.
and then the next 45 minutes he would like check his entire analysis with the engine and like go through line by line. And it was incredible how much stuff he was able to just figure out on his own, and then the
Wow.
engine would just kind of like confirm his analysis. I mean, insane. I think he was doing it in Russian, so it might be inaccessible to most people, but still fascinating.
Oh, right, you speak Russian. I tend to forget this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Multi talented.
it's actually it's quite a plus in the chess world, I gotta say.
Yeah, they
Um,
say if you can speak the language of Russian, then your elo goes up by at least 250 points. So this is another secret of chess. Analysis
it,
in Russian.
I mean, in all seriousness, it has been very very helpful. Just to be able to communicate, you know, with fellow Russian speakers is a big deal.
That is
Um,
awesome and very insightful as well. Well, thank you so much, Kostya, for joining us. I appreciate you,
Absolutely.
still speaking about the game regardless of the result. And also, yeah, good luck with the recap video. We'll definitely be watching that.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, thanks again for covering. Say hi to everyone in chat for me, and yeah, feel free to plug whatever you're doing next. You know, let people know where they can follow you and everything. Because you've been a dojoer for many years, so it's
I
great to
definitely
have you
will.
around.
Yeah, the outlet will be overloading with plugs.
Nice.
All right, chat soon. Thank you,
Cheers.
Kostya.
See
Bye
you.
bye. That was a really, really nice chat with Kostya, and very cool of him to still join us after the game. I know it was long and he's probably tired and still needs to record his recap video. So, to be honest, we take our hats, our metaphorical hats off to him. Well done, Kostya. Well done, well done. Thank you so much for plugging the chat full of. Wait, did you shout me out in my own channel? What a fool. Yeah, I don't see the point in shouting me out in my own channel, but I do stream on Twitch, also covering the Women's World Championship match over on Lichess. And yeah, we'll be traveling for some tournaments real soon, hoping to stream them and take after Kostya in that sense. But he's been playing an incredible tournament so far, and really hope to see some amazing chess from him. I mean, that level of preparation, the fact that he made it all the way to Queen H5 and still said, yeah, yep, theory. I mean, this is move 18. and he said it was like nothing. I aspired to be this good and this well versed because it's not just about memorization, it's about understanding the position and all its vices. He is really super friendly, very true. You just got back from the Anna game. What happened with Anna's game? Yes, thank you so much for being here, chat. I really hope that you have a fantastic day further. I won't keep you here any longer.